I'll put Bron at the 1, Kawhi at the 3, Timmy at the 4, Shaq at the 5, and then myself at the 2. Because Bron naturally is a point guard. He's played a point guard his whole career.
Welcome to the Playbook with MK. This podcast is about plays that winners make so that you can take those plays, add them into your playbook, and start winning big. Now today, we have someone who's one of the most decorated winners in the sport of basketball. From pick 46 in the second round to 3-time NBA champion, 1-time NCAA champion, and one of my personal favorite players because he won my city a ring. We got Danny Green on the pod today. Now listen, Danny, I introduced you as a winner because when I look at you and your resume, you truly exemplify that. I want to dive deep into the winner's mentality and some stories you have in those moments. You've been playing at the highest levels. You've won championships with multiple teams. Can you share your 2 most memorable or exciting moments from those winning seasons in the NBA specifically?
Oh man, that's tough. I've been very lucky. I've been blessed to be a part of some great groups, some great organizations. Even in college, to be able to have a great, brotherhood, a great group of guys to play with for 4 years and win quite a bit there, and also win my senior year. But my first championship, San Antonio, we had lost in 2013, giving ourselves the opportunity to come back and play the same team in 2014 was definitely a memorable moment. The bubble was the hardest in terms of emotionally, trying to get through it. The toughest, emotionally, mentally. Obviously, physically, it was tough as well. But during COVID year was really hard. And then, just winning a championship outside of, being in the San Antonio organization, it was difficult. 1 year out, being traded, going to Toronto for only 1 year. I had a new group, just being with that group for only a year and making something special happen. So it's hard to say 2 most memorable moments or the 2.
That's why I narrowed it down to 2 because you've had 3, and I wanted to give you a little bit of a curveball if you could narrow down to 2. It feels like the bubble would be the craziest just because
for sure.
That was emotionally stressful and you overcame something.
That was definitely the emotionally toughest one. So I wouldn't say it wasn't a memorable and so
Not
excited. It was more of a relief and just happy to get out of there type situation, and just so much on your body and mind. So I think the most excitement, of course, has to be the first one. As a kid, you never think you'd be on that stage or experience something like that. Winning an NBA championship, let alone going to the finals twice. So we went to the finals twice back to back, and Bill won winning. So you never forget your first. That's the most memorable one. You never forget your first one. And then, it's hard to pick between Toronto and LA. I think Toronto, because we were more of an LA, I think we weren't the underdog team. We were expected to win. And I said, going through the bubble, going through COVID, I said it was just tough. So I wouldn't think it was in the highest regards of best memories. Obviously, winning is a great thing, but going through the bubble and going through COVID isn't the best way to remember basketball. But in Toronto, I'd probably have to say, because I said we weren't title type team, but we weren't the best in the league. We had to go through Philly, which was a really good team. We had to go through Milwaukee, and then of course Golden State was head and shoulders above everyone. They were the team that were the team to beat with KD, even though he was unhealthy, injured, and then Clay got hurt as well. They had the best team in the league that year and the year before that. That's probably one of the most memorable ones. Always, I think beating Golden State in their arena the last time that they played in that arena before they moved and changed arenas. Probably those 2. So San Antonio and then Toronto, I'll probably put up there.
That's where I became most aware of you. I'm from Toronto. We're going to dive into Toronto in a little bit. So, I became aware of you, and I'm like, okay, this is our guy for the city. You know what I mean? So, I want to thank you for the ring.
No thanks necessary, man. I appreciate you. But, yeah.
You've played with some all-time greats like LeBron, Kawhi, and there's so many more. What have you learned playing alongside these guys? There's going to be a lot of people that want to know, is there any crazy stories, good stories that you can share with the viewers that might set them on the right track from those all-time greats?
Yeah, there's no secret to success when it comes to not just sports, but anything. The best ones, the greatest ones, obviously they have genetically, they're built differently. They have that on their side that helps them, but they work extremely hard. They do the little things of taking care of their body. Bron is just one of the top guys. The reason why he's been able to play for 20 years at that level is because of how much work he puts into himself and into his body and taking care of his body. Kawhi the same, just how much he puts into the artwork and the of being, that type of scorer, that type of defender, of the art of basketball, putting that much work into the art of, the footwork of the game, and watching Mike and Kobe and trying to be like those guys and day in and day out, working on his footwork, working on his pull-up game, and all those little details of the game. When he came into the league, he wasn't projected to be that guy. He came in as a long arm, big hands, wing defender that could, be maybe a Scottie Pippen at best type situation, but mostly just a defender. Him developing a jump shot, developing a mid-range, developing a three ball, and be able to play both sides of the ball at that level and be efficient at it. Nobody predicted that, but that's just him putting that work in, that time in, day in, day out, studying, watching a lot of film, and working on his footwork and, perfecting his jump shot, making it better each year. Making his mid-range, 99 overall, as most kids say in 2K. But him both of them putting that type of work into the game and into their bodies, and not taking or skipping any steps, along with having the genetics that they have, makes them who they are.
For sure.
But
there's no secret recipe. So you're saying rest and hard work, and then obviously some of the genetics that go with it.
You can't cheat the game, man. You can't cheat the work and whatever it is you do. So even the best of the best, even the ones with the best genetics in the world, even look at Shaquille O'Neal, Michael Jordan, guys that maybe have given athleticism that most of us, God-given talent, weren't given to us. Even the guys without it, Steve Nash, Steph Curry. There's so many guys the list goes on, that aren't the tallest, the fastest, but worked extremely hard at their craft and built something, from nothing. And they did have the resources, so yes, that helped them. But they
100%.
used those resources to the best of their ability. They valued them. But a lot of those other guys with the best genetics, there's some with the best genetics that just even better genetics than those guys, have not been greats because they didn't put the work in. They just thought it would happen, and maybe they just didn't love the game. And there's a lot of guys. There's a list of guys that you can name as well that either had injuries or they couldn't do anything about that, but were just athletically gifted, but didn't put the time and work in to study the game and to actually get better each year.
That's facts, man. That's crazy how simple it is when you're talking about some of these all-time greats. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Based on those all-time greats, obviously you've played with them. You've got to rub shoulders with them day in, day out. Who's your all-time starting five from those teammates, including you in that roster for sure? Man,
that's so tough, and it's hard to even include me in that because I've played. You
got to incluve yourself. You're the guy, man. You're the guy.
At center, I'm gonna go with Shaq. At the power forward, I'm gonna go with Tim Duncan. I've played with KD. I've played with Joel and AD. Sorry, I played with AD. Joel and AD are very. Timmy and Shaq is tough because I didn't have Shaq in his prime,
Yeah.
But in my mind, the most dominant center of all time is Shaq, and I think Joel is on his way, and I think AD, if he didn't have the injuries, could he have a better resume or have some more championships, and be up there? But still, Timmy, the greatest teammate I've had ever since I've been in this league. Timmy spoiled me for sure. So Shaq, Timmy, at the three, I'm gonna go Kawhi.
There you go.
Even Bron, man.
That's crazy.
I gotta go Bron.
Crazy.
Bron at three. And you said I have to include myself. That's wild.
Yeah. There you go.
All right, so then I'm at the two then, and at the one.
That's another tough one.
That's tough because I played with Kyle Lowry, who's been an amazing, great point guard. I played with Tony Parker, who's also another amazing, great one. Bron damn near could be the one. I could put Bron at the one.
That's what I'm saying.
I'll put Bron at the one. I'll put Bron at the one. Kawhi at the three. Timmy at the four. Shaq at the five, and then myself at the two. Because Bron naturally is a point guard. He's played a point guard his whole career.
No, of course.
But resume-wise, I said if you go for all the point guards out there, Kalo's my guy. I love him to death. I think he was more of a facilitator than Tony was. Tony was a scorer, but MVP caliber player. Tony's resume is unbelievable. I'm still shocked and flabbergasted by how he's not in the top 75 all time. I've also played with Dwight Howard. So, I've played with a number of guys that are Hall of Fame guys, and I've been very lucky to be coached by some Hall of Fame coaches as well. But yeah, that's my starting
Who you
five.
going? Who you going with the coach? Who you going with the coach? Without hurting any feelings, unbiased, whatever. I just want
I
to
don't
know.
think anybody's feelings will be hurt. I think people know I've played for Pop the longest. He's not the
There you
easiest
go.
to
That's what I
play for,
expected.
but there's a reason why he's the winningest coach of all time. And the resume he has. So yeah, I'm going with Pop, man. Even though I said
That
he
team
had
is
some
tough,
rough moments
bro.
on me, and but I've learned a lot from him, and I know he can coach any group of guys and manage any group of egos. Just the way he handles things and does things. Which is not an easy task for most, and that's why for me coaching, I don't think I should never say never, but I don't think I'll ever get into it because it's a lot of stress of trying to manage egos of guys that probably make more money than you. So it's it's not easy.
We just got off of a pod the other day with a coach, and we dove all into that. It's tough. It's tough managing those egos. So for him to be able to do that with the best of the best, you got to give kudos to that. You know what I mean? Now listen,
sure.
bro, I've seen you play on the biggest stages in the world. I saw you in that, championship run with Toronto. I want to know the mentality behind it. Like, and this is going to be a joke because I've seen you super locked in and serious.
Yes.
But I just was made aware of your pregame dance routine at North Carolina where it's joking.
Yeah.
And, walk me through that mentality on the big stage because it seems like you're locked in, but it seems like you can joke and kind of get in the groove.
Well, I think the biggest thing for us is to, go back to our days where it was most pure for us, to where it makes us loose and have fun with the game. But that's also the time where you're playing your best. You're playing your best basketball when you're having fun. You're not thinking about it too much. So that's why you'll see a lot of guys listening to music. They have headphones on. They'll be in the locker room blasting music. They'll be playing with each other, messing with each other, playing one-on-one. Yeah. That helps them to be – they're still locked in, but they don't want to be too locked in and not forget, what brings them joy and what brings the best out of them is having fun. So – Carolina, it kind of started as a thing where they played the music, and Coach Williams, if you know anything about him, he's a little superstitious, and they played this music before every game, and there was a game where they didn't play the music, and I think we lost, so they made sure they played that music for every game. They started out as the whole bench kind of dancing thing, and then a lot of those guys kind of left or became starters. I didn't start till my senior year, so I was left on the sideline pretty much by myself as a solo act. But yeah, we just have fun before the game. Once the music gets on, we have fun, we get loose. But that doesn't mean we're not locked in. But it just brings us back to the pure moments of the game when we were kids, and when we loved it the most.
Is that dance routine choreographed or no?
No, not at all, man. It's just us having fun on the sidelines, being characters, being clowns.
That was smooth.
I did it in. I got in trouble for doing it when I was in Cleveland here, my first year. The vets, they were like, you're a rookie, you can't be doing that type of thing. Me following the vets, trying to do what the vets do. But since then, we didn't do any of that in San Antonio. Toronto, not so much. We have fun in the pregame warm-ups. We dance a little bit. We get some shots up. So everywhere I went, even in Toronto, you'll see there's some random clips of me before in layup lines, doing some stupid dances. But that just, kind of brings it back to having the fun of the game, to where we, get a little bit loose to, relax our bodies and minds a little bit, and not be too locked in.
Yeah, man. Like you said, you gotta be locked in, but you gotta be loose, especially in those big moments. Now, you bring up Toronto. I definitely want to touch on Toronto. I've heard people say they either love it or they hate it as a hooper playing in the league.
That's strange. I've never heard anybody say they hated it, but
in terms of the money aspect of things, perhaps. Right,
okay.
That's the only part that I've heard. Anyways.
Maybe they hate playing in that building because it's hard. The fans are it's a tough place to play. So I can say as an opposing player, it's a tough place to play. But as a person on the roster on the team and being a part of the city, I think every player that I've known has Toronto in their top 3 favorite cities to visit and to be a part of. So my experience, I loved it, man. I miss it every day. I love the city, the people, the energy, the atmosphere, how much they embraced me was amazing. And yeah, it was definitely one of my favorite cities to play in. Said obviously being in another country is a little different. This metric system's a little different. The bank system, the money's a little different. The tax is a little different. So and I think the only thing that I disliked about it, I loved everything about it, was probably just the weather.
That's what I was gonna say.
We had a rough winter, and it was gloomy. It was very gloomy. And there's always some type of form of precipitation every couple of days, whether it was rain, sleet, or snow. But outside of that, if it had the best weather, I would probably make myself Canadian. But yeah,
that's crazy. No, I'm Canadian, man. I love Toronto. It's the most diverse place in the world, in my opinion. I love it. and we were glad to have you. I'm curious, in Toronto at that moment, what was it like with all the heat revolving around Kawhi leaving and the actual championship on the line? Like, what was the locker room thinking? Let me on the inside.
I mean, there was a lot of pressure on Coach Nurse for that. I mean, his first year was that of having Kawhi and be like, oh, we have to perform, we have to win, because we might only have him for 1 year. But I think most of the locker room in the beginning, Kyle wasn't as acceptive and embracing to it because DeMar had to leave. And, obviously there was a lot of disconnect and miscommunication when that came about. You've heard DeMar's side, you've heard Kalo's side, and he wasn't really rocking with the front office too much because of it. And he felt that he was out of the loop, and I'm sure DeMar felt the same. So when it first happened, he was like, all right, he respected us from the jump for sure.
Yeah.
The move, I don't think so much, and it took him a while to kind of embrace it and like, all right, he was a leader from the jump though, came in, embraced us, did his job, but I don't think he fully embraced it till like going through battles and playing with us halfway through the season and after All-Star break. And then actually after getting to the finals and winning Eastern Conference and him saying, I understand, Masai, why you made the move now. And it was definitely well worth it. Even though I lost my brother, a best friend, to another team for the time being, I understand why you made the move when said embracing that moment. So, but there was a lot of pressure I said on the coaching staff to make it happen. In the locker room, we knew what it was. I think we weren't really focused on that. We were focused on just what we had at hand and what we could control at that moment. So we were just having fun. And
was it the same kind of like chill? Like it was like chill, like you said, getting loose, or was it more serious?
It was
pressure,
chill.
Right?
Playoffs it became a little more pressure, but it was chill. We had a great season. We had a lot of fun. We thought, this is a great year. It's a great team. And the playoffs, we beat the team we were supposed to beat. Second round was tough. So Philly series was really tough. And so was Milwaukee.
Crazy.
But going 7 games and going to overtime, hitting the game winner to advance. Fred and Norm, had been out the rotation during that series for a little while because they were smaller guards trying to play against Jimmy, Ben, Tobias. They had, a bigger team than us. And obviously Fred came alive. Milwaukee series had his baby, went nuts, went crazy from there, became All-Star. The rest is written. He's a Toronto legend. And Kalo, they had a lot of things about Kalo in the playoffs and him not showing up. He came out, balled his ass off, and had a hell of a finals, had a hell of a playoff series throughout the playoffs, and proved everybody wrong about him not being a playoff player. It was a tough series, man, against Philly. And
that was the craziest game winner I've ever seen.
That's when the pressure started getting more, and then I guess Milwaukee, we go down 0-2 because they had home court advantage, and then winning game 1 I think was the most. We had to win the first one at home because if we lose that first one, go down 3-0, we know it's over. Won that first one, it was a nail biter, and the second one we ended up beating them pretty comfortably. So now it's 2-2. Now it's even series, and we started playing free. And I think Fred, I said once he had his kid, he just started playing real free,
crazy.
And then once he started getting hot, I knew it was trouble for them because we had everybody else playing well, and then Kawhi was playing out of his mind, and Pascal was still emerging. He was playing unbelievable. I knew once that was going on, we had a good shot at whoever we faced in the finals, Golden State more than likely, that we had a good chance the way we were hooping. But yes, as the teams went along, as the playoffs went along, there's more and more pressure to advance and to win. But I don't think we felt it as much as probably the coaching staff did, or the front office did, because they knew that the only way we keep him is if we win one. That's the only chance that we have. And then obviously when it happened, free agency happened, it seemed like it was 3 months, but it was like 6 days before he made his decision. And everybody's waiting for him to make a decision before everybody else could get signed somewhere. So I'm waiting to see where he's going before teams offer me. So it was a hectic free agency.
Yeah, that must have been the most hectic part of it all. Like I remember me waiting, like nail biting and stuff like that. That was wild. Do you have any stories about Kawhi, real quick, that you can give me? Like everyone talks about his personality. I'm curious. Rubbing shoulders with him all the time. Anything funny you can give me that I wouldn't know, or that everyone wouldn't know?
Funny stories? I mean, he's a normal guy, man. He just stays to himself a little bit. There's not many stories, but I think what catches people off guard and makes him so funny is because you don't expect it from him.
Nah,
but if you know him, he's a character too. He tells his jokes just in his own way, in his own time. So it's that much more funnier when you do hear him tell a joke. But I do remember is that each game, when it was like a tight game, he didn't panic. He wasn't, worried or anything. He was just like, just embrace his moment. Even when we lost, he's like, embrace his moment. we gonna be good. Like, and that right there, when he's your leader and he's just not, he ain't worried or he's chilling, and he's still balling. He's like, you know what, I got, like, we're gonna be all right. I'm gonna get y'all where y'all need to be. And I trust him because I've been with him for years before that in San Antonio, so I knew what he was capable of doing. I was just seeing how we were gonna adjust as a group with everybody else, and how the coaching staff was gonna adjust and put us in position. And they all did. Everybody adjusted and followed his lead, and from there we just embraced everything that he led with. And said, I think the funniest moment was, like, Kawhi, you're down 0-2. Where do you guys go from here? And we're in Milwaukee. He's like, we go back to Toronto for Game 3. That's just who
that's
he is.
That's the funniest part. He's just straight up. Like, he just answers the question.
That's just who he is, how he was.
Yeah.
So.
This is a playbook. We're comparing playbooks here, and a big part of my playbook is my inner circle. It's a massive part of it. Now, you got a couple Hooper brothers, I believe, right?
Yes, I do.
Okay, and a cousin or cousins. A whole hooping family, right? Okay, you clearly have some competitive blood in your family. I want you to talk to me real quick about your inner circle, how it brought success to you, and is there any, like, crazy stories of growing up with them, like the pecking order, how extreme it got? I know I'm competitive with my dad. I can't imagine it with brothers that are, like, at that same level.
Yeah, for sure, 100%. With the cousins, they didn't come into the picture till later on down the line. A lot of them I didn't find out till reunions when I was in high school or senior. I have 3 brothers, but there's only one that's close to me in age. The other 2 are way far behind me. Devontae, who's currently playing overseas now, I think he's playing in Sweden, I believe, right now. He's hooping, he's doing well. But he's 10 years behind me. He's 10 years younger than me. And then the other one is Dante, who is 18 years. He's 18 right now.
So there's an age gap. There's a massive
age gap, yeah. But the one that's right underneath me, we're only 10 and a half months apart. So we grew up one grade apart from each other. So every day we played. We hooped in the backyard, and we pushed each other. And he always tried to beat me, and I would never let him beat me in anything except for he always.
He's never beaten you.
Games.
He's never beaten you.
When we were younger, we didn't play one-on-ones until when we got older much. But when we were younger, I never let him beat me. If it ever happened, I'm sure he would remember. But he definitely beat me in other stuff, and that's why I probably didn't play. That's why I gave up video games quick. Like, I stopped playing video games at a younger age because that's what he was good at. He was the professional at that. I'm not saying he wasn't good at basketball. He went to University of San Francisco. He went to Manhattan College first, and then transferred to University of San Francisco, and hooped there. And could have played overseas, but he had to get surgery on his wrist twice, and pursued something else, and didn't want to kind of go overseas. But yeah, we pushed each other every day, all day, with our friends too. It was a basketball community in my neighborhood, so until streetlights came on, we were playing at the parks, we were playing at each other's houses, and that's just how it was. We didn't have cell phones, we didn't have social media like that. It was just hooping, whether it was wiffle ball, football, two-hand touch tag, whatever it is, flag football. We played outside. That was what, that's what it was when we were growing up. So.
That's what builds it, man. I want to go into your defense. You're known for your defense. Like, you're truly known for it. I've seen it firsthand. What's your secret? Like, what's your secret for locking down a defender? If there's 2 keys you could give a massive audience, what would it be to apply to their game?
I mean, it's hard to give away all secrets. Not that I have any secrets. I'm not the most athletic, but luckily I've been blessed with the ability to kind of outsmart some people. But, like, my reflexes were pretty good. So I was good at reading and reacting. And I'm not a good gambler, but, guessing on the court, guessing somebody's energy, somebody's movements. I think the biggest thing is watching somebody's habits. There's no secret. You watch a lot of film. You watch somebody, what they like to do, their footwork, what type of moves they like to make. Everybody, even the greatest players that have a bunch of moves in the bag, Kyrie has a million moves, there are still 3 or 4 moves that he goes to. And you can watch Dame Lillard, Steph Curry, Russell Westbrook, LeBron James, Kawhi Leonard. You watch their games, you don't know what they're gonna do, but you can still rely on they're gonna when in doubt they're gonna revert back to these things that they are comfortable with doing. So knowing what their strengths are, knowing what their weaknesses are, which they don't have many weaknesses, but making them play away from the things that they are very most comfortable doing will help you lower their percentage a little bit and lower higher your chances of them not scoring on you type situation. So if, say, he's a very strong right-handed guy, or he likes to pump fake, or he's very good at the mid-range. And also helps when, you said, I've been lucky enough to be spoiled by big men behind me to block shots. So I've had Timmy. I've had, Anthony Davis. I have, Evan Mobley and Jared Allen now. So when I'm comfortable, I had Jaren Jackson in Memphis. Not that I got a chance to play with them much, but I've always had big men behind me that were shot blockers. So it makes it easier for me to run guys off the line or just send them to the basket. Like my job is to, take away 3-pointer, take away mid-range. But just knowing certain guys' tendencies and watching film and playing against him for so many years, playing against James Harden for 14 years, it's still not a guy that you can just stop, but you can contain him or learn better ways to, take away angles, whoever it is, Steph, how to chase him, Klay Thompson, whoever it is, shooters or guys like to handle the ball. Like I said, Kyrie, he can use both hands, but there's always a hand that he might prefer more than the other, and trying to stay and get in his space and make him try to finish over my big men. It makes it easier when you have other pieces behind you because you can't stop any of these guys one-on-one. But you can limit, you can contain a little bit, but you have to have help, and you have to learn and watch a lot of film of their tendencies and try to, limit them getting to those strong points.
You mentioned Harden, you mentioned Kyrie, you mentioned Steph. Who's the toughest player you've had to guard, and is there any specific matchups that you can, it's just implanted in your memory?
KD, I mean, he's 7 feet. A lot of times you have to hope that he misses. All those guys are very hard to guard, don't get me wrong. But a lot of those guys, I can probably contest their shot a little better than Kevin Durant, because Kevin Durant's 6'11", 7 feet. He can shoot over you, and he also knows how to use his body. He knows how to draw his fouls. Those guys know how to draw fouls as well. James is a professional free throw shooter and foul drawer. Joel is one of those guys too. Not that I ever guarded him in the post, but any of those guys that are my height or smaller, are a little easier to take up space or get to their shot or to affect their shot a little bit more. KD is a lot harder to affect his shot.
KD is getting off. It's going off for sure.
Yeah, and you just said you do the best you can. You try to get to his face or his view of the basket or get to the contest. There's times where I'm right there on the shot, cash, because he don't see me. He's just bigger than you, he's taller than you, and he moves like a guard. He moves like me. He moves like the best of them, just like KD, Kyrie, like Kyrie, Steph, and all those guys. He moves like a guard, a point guard that can handle the ball and can shoot with the best of them. And he's 7 foot, so that's what makes him the hardest to guard, which is why everybody's trying to pursue this Wembanyama kid. He 7'3" kid that can handle the ball and can shoot it. When you're that size,
that's wild,
and can shoot it and handle it, it damn near makes you unstoppable.
Yeah, no, I agree. What about like the mental part of shooting? Because obviously that's the other thing that I think of when I see you playing. It's like I've seen it firsthand. You're a shooter. Is there a secret sauce to it? Obviously, we're getting all the secrets here, but I'm curious.
Yeah.
Like, what's the mental part of it for someone watching this, for their shot to drop like you?
Confidence, man. And the only way to get that confidence is repetition over and over, every day, and years of practice of mentally knowing that there's going to be waves, there's going to be up and downs, and not losing confidence in yourself, but continue to shoot it out when you have, slumps.
What if you're having that shit like day, or shit week, shit month?
So you just continue to shoot it out and don't doubt yourself for a second that, any moment that all it takes is one for you to get hot. So the moment you doubt yourself and the moment you lose any confidence is the moment that you'll start to lose yourself and lose, that shooting of who you are. So you go in knowing, like, I don't care if I go 0 for 10, I'm still shooting the next one as if it's going in, and confident in yourself. That's when if you miss two and like, damn, now you're shying away from thinking about it. And that takes years. That takes time of maturity as a player of, getting past that play, not thinking about the last play, but worry next play, thinking of next play. If you keep worrying about the last play, it's hard for you to be successful in the next play if you're still harping or thinking or holding yourself accountable or to whatever standard it may be. Obviously, hold yourself to a standard, criticize yourself, but if you're thinking down on yourself because of the last play, you might not make the play that's more important coming up next because you're thinking about the last one. And I said you can go 0 for 9, but that 1 for 10, people may not remember that 1 for 10, but that one might be the one for the game winner.
Exactly. You've seen it time and time again, to be honest. So the last part of my playbook is that I'm keen on money. I'm a young businessman myself. I always try to help others manage their money when it gets to that type of big amounts. I've seen your contract, and it's safe to say you make a good amount of money, and you're good with your money. You're not a stupid guy with your money. A lot of people, they let success get to their head, and then that's where the stupid purchases start to happen, right?
For sure.
I'm curious, what's something that you can tell us that kept you grounded and focused when it came to the money? Because obviously you can have your fun, but what's something that kept you grounded where you weren't spending like stupid?
Man, I think two major things. I think I was lucky enough to be put in the right places at the right time. And so going through school for 4 years, being at Carolina, let me know the value of a dollar and how to pay bills, how to do my own laundry, how to do everything myself. Obviously, I wasn't getting a bunch of money there to learn how to manage it. but I knew the value of a dollar and how what it takes to survive.
Yeah, no, agreed.
Once you're getting out, and the fact that I wasn't given a bunch of money when I got out, I was second round pick. It was only a little bit of money, and learning how to manage that for the first year or two was a battle, and going overseas. But being in San Antonio, I think was the right place for me to learn that just because you're in the NBA does not mean you have to buy flashy things. You have to do, I've watched Matt Bonner, Tim Duncan, Manu Ginobili, Tony Parker. Some of them.
That's a good place to learn about money, bro.
100%. A lot of them, some of them at times enjoy their fruit at different ways, but a lot of them, they didn't feel the need to spend their money, and it was like, all right, that being there for so many years, I fit in perfectly, and I saved a lot being there. So being in Texas, no income state tax type situation where you're getting more of your money there, but also saving money because nobody cares to dress up, or there was no dress code, or being on the plane, or doing this or doing that. You don't have to keep up, with the Joneses type situation where, my first year in Cleveland was a little different. So they had Bron, Shaq, and they're like, Rook, you got to make sure you look good on the sideline. Make sure you get a coat. It's like, damn, I got to spend this on sport coats. This is ridiculous just to look good on the sidelines. When in San Antonio, there was none of that. So being in those situations, being in Carolina 4 years, being in San Antonio, learning that, how to handle and manage the money the right way, and also learning that you don't have to, just because you're in the NBA does not mean you have to do these things. And seeing the NBA players there, it's like, all right, these are in the NBA. They don't do it. They're not buying a bunch of cars. They're not buying a bunch of clothes. So I learned a lot from that. And then also I was able to learn from other people with different investments as years went on. Even when I got out of San Antonio, I learned different groups, different people, how they operated and how they handled their money. And also be able to share that knowledge with other guys of how to, manage and handle their money. And like, look, you don't need to be spending money on that. You're only this type of year player. You don't know what's coming on. But yeah, there are moments. It's like, there was a lot of years where I was very frugal and cheap, but I'm still frugal and cheap. But a lot of it's that I put, like, I hear the stories of Shaq, how he didn't want to spend an NBA check. Certain guys, I watch all those things too and all those interviews. So my goal was to do the same. Like, all right, put at least half my check away and use the other half, or 3/4 of my check, and use a small portion of what I needed for bills and whatever I wanted to buy myself. So I do enjoy my fruits a little bit more now. It took me some time, but like I give myself like maybe once or twice a year something for myself. Now I have a wife, and also get something for the wife and have a family. That grounds
you for sure.
It definitely it definitely grounds you. But as I've gotten older, I've enjoyed my fruits a little more. But also said learning, contracts are different. So like in the beginning in my career, I was not making a lot. In the middle, a lot more. So now toward the end of it, it's like, all right, you got to be prepared for your contracts gonna be a lot less now. So you have to be able to manage throughout a year or 6 months, however you're gonna get paid, of how you wanted to look like and how you wanted to survive doing that without having to touch the money you've made already. So you just have to set certain small goals and bigger goals for yourself, and figure out how to get there, and have a financial group show you what that looks like. So I have a little 10-year plan, 20-year plan. Like, what do you want to have when it's all said and done? What do you want to be able to do?
Yeah.
You want to be able to retire without having to work, but don't see myself being one of those type of guys not wanting to work. Still do something, but do what I want to do and not have to worry about money in the same breath.
With that being said, what's the best, greatest purchase you've made that you're most happy with, that you said you've enjoyed your fruits?
Oh man, I think all the purchases that I've made, are investments. I'm not a big car guy because I think they depreciate in value as soon as you drive them up.
They do depreciate.
So my real estate, the houses that I've purchased, I've actually done some stuff with some of my partners, people I've made some money on, or they've made some money on. A lot of my business partners or friends to be able to bring a business proposal to me if they want to, make some money on certain projects. As long as it makes sense, and my financial group will read it over and say, all right, this makes sense. Let's give this an opportunity. But my houses, the houses that I've purchased, those are all investments. If I needed to one day, wanted to sell them, I know I would get the money back for them, if not more. Which most of them said I don't plan on ever selling. These are my homes. They're like, most of them are my forever homes. And I'm a big watch guy, so the watches that I've purchased are pretty valuable.
What's the best one? What's the toughest watch you have?
It's hard to say. I wouldn't say the toughest. I love all of them. There's not one that I've bought and I said I didn't love. Maybe it's like one or two that I'm like, all right, they're cool. They were early on, but since my last 5 years or so, every single one of them I've loved, and because there was a time where the market went crazy. So I bought my watches before the market went crazy, and people were trying to buy them for 3 or 4 times the amount, and I'm like, nah, I want to keep them. These
it's an investment.
These are my pieces. So yeah, I have a couple of Rolexes, couple of Patek's, couple
Any
RMs.
Richard Milles yet? Okay, there
one
you
or
go.
two RMs, one AP. I have a couple. I try to dabble in different types of. To try to get the rarest of each brand to diversify my collection. But yeah, I really enjoy a really nice watch, and I said I enjoy, and I'm starting to enjoy now the real estate process of finding a home, or even building something, or designing, or decorating, or even flipping a house, or that type of
Yeah.
thing.
Well, bro, everything you're bringing up money-wise is an investment. Like real estate, watches, other businesses, it's an investment. When I first started getting money, I saw the bank account. And I was like, holy shit, there's actually money in there. So I'm just buying everything. Like everything. I see it, I'm buying everything.
Yeah, when you're a kid, you
Buying
buy all the candy in the
Yeah.
store. You're like, when you first go
Yeah.
grocery shopping, you're like, you don't know how to buy groceries for yourself. When you first get money, you're like, you don't know. It takes time.
I
Like,
made
all
some
right, now I have to
stupid
buy some real
purchases.
healthy stuff. You're like, let me not just get a bunch of cereal and snacks. Let me get some
Exactly.
eggs. Let me get some bread. Let me get milk. Like things that I can make food with instead of just a bunch of candy. When you're a kid, you get a bunch of money. You're gonna go out and be a kid in Toys R Us and get all the toys you want.
What's
It takes
the
time to be an
dumbest?
adult.
What's the dumbest purchase you've made? What's the stupidest purchase you're just like it's just so crazy. It doesn't have to be dumb, but just
Yeah.
something that's just crazy.
Jewelry.
Just jewelry.
I mean, some of it holds value, some of it doesn't. But
Yeah.
I've over the years I've bought some jewelry. Some of them are nice, good pieces. Some of them are dumb. So you can probably get some money for them. You're not going to get the same amount that you probably paid for them. But jewelry is probably the dumbest. And for me, I think the biggest negative asset that most people in the world spend on, and even for me, because I don't even do this, is alcohol. I don't drink alcohol, but you go to a club, you spend money on alcohol. If I could cut alcohol,
bottles
you
are
know how much,
expensive.
how much money I think most athletes, most people would save if they cut out, the cost of partying, or to spend at a party, get a section to be comfortable. You would save a lot of money if they actually charge you what they charge in the store, or they charge you half of what they charge you. You would save a lot more money. So yeah, that's probably the dumbest investments. But I love vacationing. I love real estate, housing, and that's worth it spending on it. But jewelry is probably one of the dumbest things. Yeah, that I probably spend
that's
on.
good, bro. That's good.
Yeah.
I mean, you broke it down, bro. The playbook you have is clearly exceptional. It's resulted in you winning a whole lot. So I just want to thank you for comparing playbooks with me today, putting the viewers on some serious game. It's been a pleasure.
For sure, man. Anytime. There was one that came to mind. I know I can't say this. I shouldn't say this on air, but it was definitely worth it. But you said spend the super amount of money like most people.
Crazy,
said,
just crazy.
The wedding for sure.
Okay. I wasn't gonna ask you. I heard there was a walking plant. Is that
Yes,
true?
it was. Yeah, I guess you could call it that. Yeah, she had on stilts. She had like a plant
Walking
suit on
plant.
her, but it was done very well. A lot of money went into it.
Everyone
more
was
money-
talking about it.
More money than I wanted to spend, which every guy ends up spending more money than they expect or want to. But it's 4 days. It's to celebrate love, which is it's a meaningful thing and a lot of fun. You have your family there, her family there, all your friends there. So it was a hell of a party.
I got my wedding coming up, and I'm looking at the price, and I'm like, okay, this is crazy. So
Whatever your budget was, they're gonna look at this, make sure you have triple the amount to cover, because the wedding planner,
Exactly.
whoever's gonna do it, they're gonna make sure you're probably gonna double it, damn near triple it, because usually that's how it goes. But yeah, the wedding is one of those things you spend a lot of money on. That's worth it though.
yeah, and that's great, man. Like I said, you put us on some serious game. You put the viewers on some serious game. So it's been a pleasure. Is there anything else in the 30 seconds that you'd like to share, or just?
Nah, man, this was a pleasure, man. This was a lot of fun. Some good questions, some good experiences. Took me down memory lane a little bit. I'm glad you're from Toronto. I see Toronto fans all over the world. They show me so much love. I miss the city
What's
a
your
lot.
favorite food spot? Your favorite food spot in Toronto?
That's hard to say. It's so diverse. There's a lot. I can go to a Jamaican spot. I go get some Trinidadian food. I can go, get some good Italian food somewhere. I used to go to Harbor 60. Was that where it was?
Harbor 60 is that's
I
my
used to
favorite
go to
place. That's my
Soto is pretty solid, but Cactus Club was a vibe. I used to go to Joey's, watch the game sometimes. There was a burger spot around the corner from me in Etobicoke that was really good too.
Oh, they have you staying
Pachi.
at Etobicoke?
I was staying in Etobicoke. I think it was a Pachi Burger, maybe. It was a really good
Okay.
spot. I had a couple spots, man, that were for me. It's hard to say one was my favorite, but there was a lot. It said so many diverse foods there. That's what made me enjoy the city so much. And
Yo, I wish you guys stayed for that following year. That would have been hectic. I feel
It could have
like you
been
guys
fun,
definitely
man.
would've- Yeah, I feel
It
like
could have
you
been
guys could
fun.
have done something.
But I mean, I think part of it was I don't think they could keep the whole team together, even if Kawhi did come back.
Yeah.
So I think that's part of the reason. Maybe it was part of, you have to ask him, maybe it's part of the reason why he didn't come back. But we were already over the cap, and it was hard to keep everybody enough for us to pay everybody and keep them all there at the same time. So it was going to be tough.
So you were talking about things that you would want to do outside of basketball once you retire and stuff like that. I know you have a podcast. Is that something that you would, continue doing down the line? What does it look like for you?
100%. Inside the green room. It was something that I said I can't take credit for it. Harrison Sanford, give him all the credit. He's my co-host. It's Inside the Green Room with Danny Green. You can find it on all platforms. I'm Jed Osman. He's the brains behind the operation. He was our producer, and now he does all the business side of things. And when he first brought it to my attention was when I was in San Antonio. So I wasn't very encouraging of doing it because they're not a big fan of any media or doing anything outside of basketball. Luckily, I was traded like 2 days after he brought this to my attention. I said I would do it. And it's been fun ever since. I got a chance to learn my teammates, use my own platform to talk about things that's going on in my life and also with the teams I've been on. People said I would be a good coach. I think I would, but it'd be tough. I think more for me is doing sidelines or commentating or TV analyst. So that's why I'm getting the reps with doing a podcast and hopefully doing some stuff for ESPN this past year. Also got me some rhythm and some reps of getting into a flow and hopefully transitioning to when I'm done to be able to do, things like what Shaq and Chuck are doing, and Kenny and Ernie, and then, obviously Richard Jefferson and so many other guys, Jalen Rose, Shannon Sharp, Skip, Stephen A, all those guys. There's a lot of good ones out there and some bad ones, but they have a platform that I could, debate with and chop it up with and talk basketball without being so stressed and coaching. So podcast
what do you break down on the podcast, if you don't mind me
asking? We talk everything in sports mostly. But anything that's going on in the real world, but things that's going on with my team. We have what's going on in the playoffs, what adjustments. We try to talk without giving away too many secrets of what's happening. Our opinions on what's going on in other teams, in other sports, and bring awareness to certain things that maybe awareness needs to be brought to, whether it's a movement, a civil rights movement, or something that's going on, an unjustly thing that's happening in the city. In Memphis, we had a police brutality situation. But those are the things that we don't want to keep discussing. Hope things change for the good. But we want to talk about the community, things that's going on in the cities I've been playing in, and things that need change. But also, so the biggest thing is us enjoying sports. What all brings us together on the pod, and what people listen to me for, to hear my insight on what's going on in basketball. Man.
Everyone watching, make sure you check out my boy Danny Green's pod. I've watched a few episodes. It's tough. Tune in, and y'all know the rest. I appreciate it, bro. Again.
Appreciate you, brother. See you guys soon.
We ready. Y'all look nervous. Breathing out happy. Look, we gon' keep it going till it's raining.